as soon as we are born, we are instantly disconnected from Source itself, from that place of peace and from that place of being in complete consciousness of the source of where we've all come from. And so as soon as we've been disconnected, it's like we are then programmed a certain way and taught about lack, about all of these different distractions in life. And so oftentimes then we are almost living a life that's either full of distractions, it could be phone, it could be anything, it could be how we've been programmed, and we've lost touch with that sense of purpose, that sense of knowing this is actually who you are and the truth of who you are, where this side, it's constantly the layers that have been built.
The Peak Performance Live podcast is sponsored by and filmed on location at the Pencil Club. The Pencil Club is a premium members club with prestige spaces to connect and inspire people. The club appeals to passionate and driven individuals with discerning tastes. With a gourmet restaurant, bar, fitness facilities, and luxuriously appointed meeting spaces, the club offers a complete environment for those with exquisite preferences. The Pencil Club is the highest point in Durban, offering panoramic views of the coastline and lush green rolling hills of Durban. Apply to become a member via the link in the video description. Thanks for coming on, Derryn.
Thank you.
I know you're a coach and you're a yoga teacher, and you're into helping people. That's the vibe that I got from you the first time we came across. How would you describe yourself? How would you introduce Derryn?
Wow, yeah. To speak in this moment now, I feel like I'm just a beautiful, like a fractal of just infinite source, like through a human being, and I really feel like I'm just Derryn, a lover of life, a really wanting to speak from the heart, to move through the heart, a person that is really adventurous, so adventurous. I am, really wanting to just almost see the possibilities of everything, and I've always been this person that instantly just says yes if something really makes me feel excited, and knowing that if I had to regret anything in life, like I don't want to get there, so I'd rather just say, you know what, you only live once and the life is so short, let me just do something that makes me happy and fulfills my soul. So just in summary, I'm just Derryn Scott that is wanting to bring life to people, instill a different perspective of things, to broaden just their perspective of everything, just expand their whole mind of ideas. Definitely offering people now self-leadership and intimacy offerings through one-on-one coaching, yoga instructor as well, and really so a mentor that really focuses on self-leadership, how to lead ourselves and as well as how to lead others. So I'm a mixture of all different creatives and one human, I feel, and then now I'm just almost leading the way of who comes to me and how I can help at the same time.
Okay. How did you get to this point? What was your journey like that brought you to where you are now?
So my journey has been, it's been tough, I must be honest. It's been really liberating. I moved through almost 21 years of living a certain way of deep insecurity, and so much different programming of how life should be. And then whilst I was in university, I went to a varsity here that was all about shaking the normality of life and how do we really see beyond just our certain programs of how we were living. And I thrived. I really, really enjoyed being at varsity, questioning things. So after that, during that process, I felt for the first time, oh my goodness, this is like the potential in me came out after never seeing it before. Then I moved into the yachting industry, where I was there for 6 years. Started from the bottom of really doing day work, cleaning toilets, being a service lady, to then afterwards moving into yoga. Yoga was definitely a foundation of a spiritual practice, of just a practice in general that called me back to my body, called me back to the moment, knowing that I can do anything and be anything I want. So that was a beautiful practice I came back to. And then I wanted to merge almost the service industry, hospitality, connection with people, to mindfulness and yoga. And then I wanted to connect it with the adventurous spirit of really wanting to travel. And how can I infuse all of these three things that were my values at the time into one job? And then that's when the yachts came about, and the yoga instructor on the boats came into fruition as well. So yeah, that's what I moved through for 6 years. And then last year, April came, and I thought, I don't want to live for someone else's dream anymore. I don't want to work for someone else's dream. I want to be able to really be the leader of my own life and just create the life that I really want. And so I took that leap of faith and just jumped. And it was probably the most exhilarating experience I've ever experienced. And in April, I've been working previously with different mentors. And so I was called to do these intense retreats to help me land back on land, because I was out at sea, living in the ocean on a boat for 6 years. So to come back to the source of where I was born and to come back to my own sense of like being, I really needed to have these courses that shook me up, that took me back to anchorage in my own body, mind and spirit. And so I've been on that journey ever since, like this last year. Launched my business at the end of the year, in December. So it's been, only 10 months. So it's still a baby, definitely, and it's still growing. But right now, I just feel that everything that I've ever gone through has led me to this moment now. And it's the most happiest I've been in content and grounded and anchored in my being. That feels so good. Because before that, I was in search of that. Before that, I was in search of something outside of myself, and I was looking for this pot of gold. Where is this? Where is this? And I kept being almost more distracted by taking, I don't know, like healthy tablets or quick fixes in life, and what is going to bring me that sense of fulfillment and contentment. And then during these courses and during this year, I finally realized, wow, like I don't need to go searching for anything anymore. Everything is within me. Let me know and build the foundation of self-worth deep down. And then this is where I've come from. So it's come a very far and intense journey, definitely. Many struggles and traumatic events along the way, but everything I feel has been worth it.
Yeah. I think there's a Rumi quote that sums that up. What you are seeking is within you, or is also seeking you, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually a quote that I live by, which says, I think it is by Rumi. It says, don't go and search for love, go and search for life, and life will give you the love you seek. And that has been my motto, is just to keep going and searching for the life that I really want, without going and chasing after a thing or a person or anything like that. And it's been beautiful that since I've been chasing my life and choosing the things I want to do, the people, the love stories that I've been able to experience during those moments have been so profound and so healing for my journey now.
What did you study at varsity?
I studied business and management.
Yeah.
So I studied that, but it was a business degree that really wanted to break the mold of our own way of thinking. So we did a lot of creative projects, taking us back to our trauma when we were younger, taking back to memories.
That's interesting, in a business study.
In a business, business brand and management. And so we would have creative development, and that was an incredibly powerful subject, because we really wanted to be questioned to think deeper, to think a different way. And then we had another subject within that, which also wanted to test our own boundaries and not think in this certain box, and how do we actually think outside of it. Or there's actually no box at all, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed that degree.
Yeah. And how did you migrate from that onto the yachts? I'm trying to make that connection, because from business management to going onto the yacht seems a bit of a stretch.
Yes. So I've always, my parents have always been free spirit travelers.
Yeah.
So when I was growing younger, my mom would often take us overseas and experiment with new cultures. And I just knew that there was something in my body that, whilst I was at varsity, one of my dreams was to go and explore and at the same time meet people. And I thought that the yachting industry was definitely the most life-changing thing I've ever decided. But I wanted an experience that was really going to take me out of my comfort zone, really going to shake me up and give me a whole different perspective of life, whilst at the same time looking at an opportunity that's going to open up even more doors. And that was through the boats, and that was through not only the perspective of being in a beautiful place, but also with the people and with the different cultures that were on the boat as well. So that's how it just moved into that. And I remember this moment where I knew that I wanted to do that, and so I bought a one-way ticket, plane ticket by myself to France. And I arrived there, and I was in this beautiful house with a small group of people. We were all looking for jobs, living each day to its fullest. And I remember whilst I was there, just almost praying like crazy of the right opportunity for me that I will almost choose the best decision for me in that moment. So I really did want to choose something from a place of not stress, not desperation, but actually knowing that it's going to be the best decision. And that was the most exhilarating experience, handing out my CVs to people physically, walking on the docks, approaching different boats, and then also you dealing with rejection at the same time. And so I was rejected many times, but then I just knew that the phone call would come, and then the job that's meant to be for me will come. And I remember how I got my first job actually was that I went to walk the docks and handed my CV through. And one day I was sitting on a Friday night at a restaurant. They had a party for all the people that were a part of the yachting company. And I sat there and I received a phone call at 7 p.m. and they said, "Listen, Derryn, are you able to come for an interview right now?" Like right now. And I had one glass of wine. I was enjoying myself. Now it's 7 p.m. on a Friday night. And I said, of course, I'm going to come there right now. I'm going to take the train ticket. It was maybe a 20-minute train ride. Arrived there, and as soon as I walked on the boat, it was a small boat, and I met the lady, and I was so honest with her. I said, listen, to be honest, I was at a yachting party. I've had one glass of wine. I'm at an interview now, and just want to be very, very honest and upfront. And to be honest, she actually said that was partly the reason why I also received the job opportunity, because of how just being honest and also knowing that that is the human experience, that we get to enjoy ourselves. And there was a balance of commitment, of going there, of taking action, but at the same time being honest, and then also being that person that can enjoy themselves too. So she loved that, and then that's how I received my first job opportunity.
And how did you get from working on the yachts, deciding that you were going to learn and teach yoga on the yachts?
So after my second season on a yacht, I fell into one of the worst places I've ever been in. Fell into maybe 4 months of depression. It was pretty scary because I just noticed that there was almost this black cloud that was over my head, and I didn't know how to release it, and I kept praying as well. And I realized that I was moving through a time where I really needed to healthily leave before my mental health got worse. And I left the boat, and straight away I came back home, and I said, right, I want to do my 200-hour yoga training. I want to do it in Bali. And I felt like that season in particular, I was becoming so disconnected from myself that I needed to turn to something that would really tune me back to my own mindset, my own body. And Bali was calling. And it was almost like the land of Bali was saying, come Derryn, like this is your time, this is your space, this is the group of people you're going to connect with. And also I felt as if previously to this, sometimes going into these environments where you are getting paid reasonably well, you can get swept up into a field of materialism in a negative way. And so I would buy these expensive clothes, and I would wear, lots of makeup. And so I felt like, holy moly, this is not me. And I'm doing this for an external validation. I'm doing this for a particular partner at the time. And I wanted to strip all of that away. And so in 2017, in January, I got called to go to Bali. And as I arrived there, I mean, everything. You walk around in your yoga kit. You walk around with bare minimum on your whole body and face. And you're stripping naked completely, emotionally, vulnerably. And I've never felt so much love from people. And I've never felt so much love, the beginning of self-love journey within that moment of coming back to that presence, also processing trauma, generational trauma in a collective environment with about 20 people. So that was definitely a breakthrough for me. But previously to that, yoga was definitely almost the opening of a different form of beautiful consciousness. It was coming back into union of exactly what my body and my mindset wanted to do in that moment. So it was a beautiful, beautiful knowing that I was always led on that path in small different ways, but it took falling into experiencing depression, anxiety, and almost that lowest point in my life to really ignite something within me and receive that calling. So that's when Bali arrived. And then I decided the plan wasn't to go back on the boats, but there was also something within me that was like, let me change my perspective. What is my 3 values at the time? It was travel, it was hospitality, connection with people, and it was mindset work, it was yoga, embodiment practices. And I thought, holy moly, let me give all of these offerings and give it to a place like the yachting industry, which is actually, they need that. We need the mental health to be stronger in those spaces. And so I arrived there with this qualification, arrived on my first job opportunity, the second one. And I did yoga with the owners, I did yoga with the guests, with the crew. And it was amazing just to know that I could also create that very vulnerable moment for the guests as well and for the owner, to really see life from their perspective, and knowing that a form of practice like this can really help them through their challenges as well as the people that work for them and my fellow colleagues.
And so with the yachting, would these be charters? So they would be chartered, you would have different guests at a time, and you would then teach yoga if there was the demand for it to whoever was on the boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
So many of the yachts I worked on were charters, which I loved because there was always energy shifting.
Yeah.
Everyone was new guests, owners coming on board, constantly there was momentum. And I really love that feel of traveling to new places, expanding the mindset. And then as soon as someone requested yoga, that's when I would do it with them. And then I would oftentimes do it for like on the beach if we're in a particular beautiful island somewhere. So the experience of giving that practice to those people was absolutely amazing. It's definitely what kept me going as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of what you do now is to develop self-leadership. So what would that be in a nutshell, and why do you think it's needed?
So I feel that what is lacking, and this is just coming from my perspective, or what is lacking in the world now is people leading themselves. And I really do believe that the self-led individual will change the world, because once we become a master of our own mindset and gain awareness and become our own master also of our body and in tune with our intuition, then we'll be able to really reprogram humanity. We'll be able to shift something within humanity. And it all starts with that one person knowing exactly or learning every single day how to lead themselves more. And then after that, extending that into leading a team and leading then a community and then a country. So I really do find that I'm so passionate that one person can change and shift that environment.
So what is leading people if they're not leading themselves? What's controlling people?
So I feel like what comes to my mind now is servant leadership, knowing that one of the greatest ways that we can lead others is leading them towards more of the truth of who they are, and really leading them to see their greatness and to see their value that they can bring for the people. Because I really do find that how we've been programmed in this world is that it is in our nature to forget every day. It's in our nature to forget who we are, why we are here. It's like almost ingrained in us. And then when you have those friends and that family, or that leader, that servant leader that is constantly reminding you of who you are, what you stand for, this is your values, I can see your potential, and instilling that beautiful piece of like belief in them so that it can ignite their own sense of belief as well. Yeah, and I feel like what is stopping people now is that as soon as we are born, we are instantly disconnected from source itself, from that place of peace and from that place of being in complete consciousness of the source of where we've all come from. And so as soon as we've been disconnected, it's like we are then programmed a certain way and taught about lack, about all of these different distractions in life. And so oftentimes then we are almost living a life that's either full of distractions, it could be phone, it could be anything, it could be how we've been programmed, and we've lost touch with that sense of purpose, that sense of knowing this is actually who you are and the truth of who you are, where this side, it's constantly the layers that have been built. So it's definitely been ingrained in us from a very young age.
Do you think it's cultural, societal, education?
Definitely, yeah. Generations. I feel like there's just a lot, and I feel like every time we unpack a layer, there's more layers, which at the same time it's beautiful because you can't it's a journey of forever long of self-discovery, which can be an adventurous journey. But at the same time, it's definitely challenging, and just the knowing of how much stuff there is, and often how many lies, like we are constantly moving through the lies of our own mind, also the lies that are around us as well. So it's definitely cultural, it's definitely people, the environment, your own brain. Yeah, I definitely feel like, from my perspective, the matrix is our own mind. And I feel like there's truth and there's lies. And it's our mindset that often leads us into different stories, leads us into different lies, and we go into different places we don't want to go to. Whereas actually, if we just come back to the present moment now, there's none of that. It's just our breath, it's the clarity of my mind, there's spaciousness in my body, and then I can access that infinite source in this moment. And that is the journey of enlightenment, is like that, coming back to that present and feeling that spaciousness and that expansion within that moment, instead of diving into all of these different areas. Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, because I think with any given situation, you have the facts, which are generally quite clear and quite simple, and then all the stories that we make around them that we get entrapped in and enmeshed in, and the what ifs and the maybes, and
Yes.
we create this massive cloud around generally quite a simple issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I almost see it as, we experience these challenges and we can go through these emotional turmoils and experiences, but so we cry and we release, but at the same time, oftentimes I find myself laughing, because it's almost like it's a cosmic joke. It's like, oh my gosh, this is all of the lies I'm telling myself. What is the truth? So it's like that playing around of the human experience, how it's literally the ebb and flow of pain and pleasure and beauty and suffering, and but it's all coming from that place of our own brain.
And one of the other things that you work with is Tantra. So I thought that would be something to unpack, because I think for most people, when you mention Tantra, people think, okay, now we're going to talk about how to have sex for 5 hours and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to what it is as a philosophy. So
Definitely. Well, this subject, wow, I'm just, as soon as I hear that word Tantra, the Sanskrit word of Tantra is to liberate and expand. And so that word in itself, there's so much to unpack, and there's so much left for discovery and curiosity. And unfortunately, the world we've been programmed to believe and taught to believe that this particular philosophy is only sex. And we look on the websites and we instantly see pictures. And as soon as people see that, there's a fear in them, and there's a probably guilt and shame, and all of these different things that have been triggered. They've been triggered by, and so I know that anyone that is in this field of Tantra will always be working with that resistance of what we've been taught. However, and this is what I feel like one of my callings is to shift that perspective and to show you people what it really means, and going underneath all of those layers of distractions of actually trying to keep us out of profound knowledge of transformative practices. And so coming back to the essence of Tantra, it's experiencing everything and anything all at once, the whole embodied human experience. It is to really know that in any moment we can feel those emotions of anger, of frustration, but at the same time it's the living in the joy of breathing. And how do we work with everything all at once? And so, that's the essence of Tantra, is just really experiencing life to its fullest, to its greatest. And there's 3 different forms of Tantra. The white Tantra is more of the mindset, more of the linear way of thinking. Yoga, it is movement, meditation, breath work. Then you get the red Tantra, which is all about your emotions, unleashing sexuality, releasing any guilt and shame. And then we get rose Tantra, and I love this. I went to all of these different beautiful retreats that really focus on different areas. But the Rose Tantra really brought in this beautiful dynamic of how to come back to the heart, how to come back to really speaking and living from that place. Learning how do we say yes to ourselves and moving from that full body yes. Knowing our boundaries, knowing what we need, what we want. And so that is what my teaching has come from, is that throughout all of these beautiful different modalities and places that I've been receiving, beautiful teachers I've worked with, what has really led me to my greatest transformation within myself, and that was coming from the heart, coming from that place, and also bridging the gap between these two so that there's no, everything just comes in connection with the beautiful sense of balance. Yeah.
So I think what's interesting is the undercurrent of what you want to instill in people or teach is this idea of authenticity from within in various ways. And I think what's fascinating to look at is what is it that conditions people to the state where you then need to learn how to be who you are. You know, why is it that we have this, call it a societal affliction, that we learn to not be who we are, and then we need help to become who we are?
Yes. Yeah, wow. It's a beautiful topic to dive into, is definitely that authenticity and authentic relating with others. You know, I really do find that it is so challenging to be authentic because we haven't necessarily been taught to, or it hasn't been a place that has been easily accessible within families. And that's where it all begins, is within your family environment, is that how can you be accepted for exactly who you are? How do you create an environment where your self-worth is really like seen and acknowledged and heard? And oftentimes we don't grow up, we're not fortunate enough to maybe grow up in those environments. And that is, you know, that's not anyone else's fault, because our parents are only doing their best, and then their parents only did their best. So it's been like we almost really with self-awareness know that we can only really look at ourselves to change something. And looking at back of being, how can I or people be authentic to themselves, knowing that how can they come back to the place of their heart? How can they come back to their place of being aware of their own mindset, being aware that they're also the creator of their own life? And that's a powerful thing, because this journey, it takes a lot of courage. The beginning of the word courage in Italian is of the heart, core. And so the journey of self-discovery and the journey of stripping all of these layers to come back to your pureness and innocence and the truth of who you are, it's a whole journey of unbecoming everything, of delayering everything, almost this deconstruction time of letting go of everything that you thought you were, and to come back to the person you've always been. That journey is like profound and challenging at the same time, and exciting, but yet it's constantly a letting go process. Yeah.
That's overwhelming for a lot of people, I imagine. Yeah.
And I don't feel that this work is for everyone. I feel that sometimes it's best that people remain in their own mind for them, and maybe that is their journey and that's their path, and people can choose that. However, you know, it's also this journey is also for those people that are really in search for something greater than themselves, and to be a part of a world where we get to experience heaven on earth here. We get to see life from a greater perspective of having everything that we've ever wanted. And really being like connecting to ourselves on that very deep level.
Talking about authenticity and connection, you also teach about sensuality and embracing sexuality. And why is it that sexuality or intimacy is sometimes seen as shameful or not discussed, or something that merits assistance?
Yeah, so I feel that we've been distracted to view all of these beautiful topics as something very shameful, that if we're a part of it, or we've definitely been educated to see how it is not good, or it is dirty, or all of these other words. And my curiosity is that oftentimes when something is suppressed within humanity, within the community, within the country or the world, underneath that suppression there's like, why is it being suppressed? There's obviously a reason. And then beyond that, it's like, wow, okay, well, there's a lot of power in these energies. There's a lot of power in our self-expression, our truth, speaking from our truth. There's a lot of power in our sensuality, our sexuality. But it's been suppressed so much that we are afraid to look at it. But then once we dive into that and really begin to witness our own guilt and shame, and to release that with beautiful like tenderness and care and curiosity, we are able then to tap into these incredible, profound, transformative modalities of accessing these particular energies. Especially coming back to becoming more authentic, speaking more from the heart-based, expressing your needs and wants without anyone else's outcome or reaction. And then intimacy as well, is that instantly people think intimacy is sex, or even sexuality is sex, and it is not at all per se. Yes, it has a fractal part of it, and it's definitely involved. However, there's so much depth that we have to move through first in order to really receive that ultimate pleasure from that physical sense. And so that's why, sacred sexuality and intimacy is really going inward and seeing our own sexuality as so sacred. How that energy, that sensuality of how we were born, we've been born from that source, from that place of two people connecting. And so that's the closest that we've been to that infinite source of our Creator, which is beautiful because it's so tender and it's so powerful, which is why we've been distracted to think a certain other direction. And so I'm really wanting to bring more awareness into this field, to tell people that, the journey of a true intimacy is speaking from your heart, and all through communication first, building that sense of safety with people within your own self, and then diving into different bodies, the emotional body, the intellectual body, and then eventually it's the physical body that you work with. But it all has to stem from all of these things first.
Because intimacy is so much deeper than just a physical interaction. It is emotional, it is spiritual, it's I suppose a deeper connection.
Definitely. And also it's very much involving of the energies. Like in a space you might feel that you are safe in an environment, and that's because there's intimacy there with that space, with that safety net. And then once we become safe, we can really reveal everything of who we are. And I really love that. I feel like people are yearning to reveal themselves and to be accepted completely of who they are. Even if we're going through a mess, or even in the space of when someone is angry. Oh my gosh, I love it when people get angry, because I find anger such a sacred, beautiful emotion. I call it sacred rage, because when someone gets angry, it's so much in connection with our passion. Oftentimes what we're angry about is what we're deeply passionate about. And so underneath that anger is passion, and then underneath that passion is self-love. And so once someone is angry, I'm like, okay, well, let's bring it to the table. Let's work with this, because right now this is where your power is born. This is where you're going to witness your power. And this is what happened like last year, and this is all in ties with intimacy and sacred sexuality, is that when I was on a course and I was doing this emotional release tool with about 50 different people in the room, oh my gosh, it was such a profound experience where you have your pillow, you have your mat, and you are screaming, and you are punching this pillow, and you are screaming in this pillow, and you're doing everything of releasing that anger out. And after 27 years of not knowing my anger, or not even seeing my anger and never getting angry, there was so much suppression of my anger that it came out. And I lost my voice because everything came out that day. And as soon as I saw my anger came, I thought, holy moly, who is this person? Like, it felt like I was this lion that has just roared for the first time. And the power that I saw within myself, I was like, who is this person? This person is like letting it all out. And after that, I realized, wow, okay, like this is my first time I witnessed my power within me. And knowing that underneath all of this anger was just a true passion for everything. And underneath that was this immense self-love, where I was able to provide that beautiful space to allow me to reveal myself, which was really, really beautiful. Yeah, I loved that morning. It was tough.
Yeah.
But that's why I really love collective healing. I really love it, because when we're in a group of 50 people and you have 10 people in the beginning, which were the assistants guiding the whole thing, then everyone just felt more and more comfortable. And the louder that this person shouted, the louder I shouted. And it was this ripple effect of really releasing stuff as a collective, alchemizing it into all of these different emotions, into passion, into self-love. And then by the end of it, it's like, wow, something shifted here. And also there was a lot of physical release of pain. Normally your lower back is stored in your kidneys and your liver, which is in your lower back area. And before that, I had a lot of lower back pain. And that definitely showed me that there was just stuck energy there. There was all these emotions. And through this process, when I was emotionally releasing and I was like punching this pillow so much and saying the words out as well, which is so powerful, is that there was less pain. There was things shifting in my lower back, which also helps with a woman and her menstrual time and cramps and all of the stuff as well that we are in pain with. So that was incredibly profound. And you know, these courses that I've gone into, it's the foundations of it actually comes from the foundation of Tantra, which is breath, sound, and movement. And really working on these three things of your breath, especially on your exhale of releasing, the sound of your breath, the sound of saying the words out, even swearing. Like, gosh, sometimes swearing, it's really releasing of that emotion. And then movement, you're moving the energy in your bodies.
I agree with you. Swearing can be very therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely.
Emphatic. So, thinking of sacred sexuality and intimacy and connection and authenticity in this sphere, don't you feel that you're kind of fighting against what the world is promoting at the moment, because there's hookup culture and everything's so surface and casual? Is this not dangerous?
It definitely is. It's that it's almost like working with that duality of like giving this sense of lightness, also knowing the opposite is that also the resistance, the struggle that's on the other side. And so I feel like there's constantly that resistance that's moving all around us. And I feel like the resistance that we have is only the invitation to really look at it. And I find that definitely with this hookup culture, that's happening, I really see that it's also slowly shifting. I feel that there's been a shift in more people that are wanting to do this work and also express themselves talking about this work as well in a healthy way. It's giving people a different perspective, but I really am, really wanting to, for the people that are in the hookup culture, it's not necessarily safe for them just to move into these powerful, profound energies of just going out there and hooking up with someone or like sleeping with someone. It's this all is so sacred, and so I feel like people don't have the awareness that it is sacred. People are not receiving the awareness that when you do experience things with someone, like authentically relate or even, hooking up with that person, you are exchanging energies, you are exchanging things. And so you might leave with that person's
baggage.
Baggage, and it's not needed on top of your own. So I definitely feel that what is stopping is the different forms of misconceptions and extremes, which is porn, it's school education, it is religion, it is, past generations of what we've been taught. So these have been almost in the mainstream in the media, which enables us to think, okay, well, that is the way. However, that's completely distracting what we already know deep down within ourselves. Like every single person knows how to relate to people, like deep down to their core, their pure essence. We know everything and anything, and the world is just reminding us of what we have forgotten of that information. And so this is just coming from my perspective, is that's why it's scary of what is being put out there that is not true at all to the experiences that you can have. Because we're just focusing on all of those.
Again, it's this theme where I think people can go through quite a bit of a journey, learning all the wrong things or learning damaging things, and then need help to be brought out into something more authentic. So it's quite concerning, I think.
No, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I think that, I almost really pray and want to keep putting my message out there of how you can, really choose a life that is possibly more authentic and expressing of your needs and having strong boundaries and feeling safe in your own body as well as in the world. And there's a lot of, unfortunately, porn portrays a view of performance and it is not real, it is not authentic, it is very staged. So we've been programmed to think that in like a form of physical intimacy is meant to look like that. When it's not at all. That is very far from it. That is just a quick fix and almost like this dopamine rush in your body, and then that's it. And so unfortunately we've been all of these again are just different distractions, and then that's when we come back to what actually all of this information is, and to really view it and see it and not be so scared of it, because we've been taught to be scared of this sacred knowledge and not to be scared of sometimes the school education and all of these other things. I would just like to say that, anyone that is just really coming back to that awareness of your own body and knowing that you get to choose who comes into your space. And that's why the boundary setting is so strong. And first of all, creating space within our own body and spending good quality time alone, knowing your self-worth, which is what we all really need to be taught on as the foundation. And then once we enter into the world, we will know what we want. How do we say no to people? And I feel like that's what needs to be taught more, is definitely.
Why do you think that is the case, that people need to learn how to create boundaries and say no?
So I think people definitely need it because we don't know how to express. Oftentimes our voices are closed off because we've either been told don't talk when you're not spoken to, or we've been so suppressed by our own voice that we can't get out what we actually are wanting. Like, all of us have needs. This necessities of life is speaking about what you need, what your desires are, and what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate. So I definitely feel that, I feel that people aren't being educated in this at all, and in the schools in particular. We grow up and there's a school system, there's a system that we instantly get taught to be like, and taught about lack more than abundance, and how you must work hard to achieve more, and all of these different things that are actually, majority of them are just lies in our own mind that are distracting us more from the truth of what we can actually really experience on this planet, on this earth.
It's like an indoctrination process that we all follow.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember, gosh, I loved primary school, but I hated high school because I went through this process, and I think it was definitely another moment, a low moment in my life, where I almost just saw everyone in school uniforms, the same uniform, the same, a similar way of thinking. You have to get this particular mark, and you're either taught you're not good at something or you're good at something. And so it's constantly, my body felt like it was rejecting it. And so every single day for about 6 months, I would cry. And then during the school breaks, I didn't find anyone that I could relate to. So I felt incredibly lonely because a lot of the time during those 6 months, I ate my lunch in the toilet on my own. But then, yes, I was going through, obviously definitely a low period, depression, loneliness. But now realizing it, I listened to my body, that I felt safer in my own company than I was in a group of maybe 50 girls. And that was just at that period of time. And then once I really got into the swing of things and possibly built my confidence even more, that's when I found my group of friends, and that's when I found just my people, I suppose. But yeah, it was interesting that I really was so sensitive in the environment that my whole body was rejecting that way of thinking. And that's why it was amazing to go into university. And it was interesting, coming back to school, I just passed with a varsity degree. And you're told you're not good at English, you're not good at this. And as soon as I went to varsity, knowing that, oh my gosh, I love this place, I love the way it thinks, I love how open it is, and you can dress up there however you want, everyone just accepts you of who you are. It's almost, it was full of artists, this varsity, full of people, full of self-expression. And I internally and externally thrived, and I was fortunate enough to win in my end of degree the Creative Award. And it was like, you go from an institution-like thinking to not doing well because the program just didn't sit well with me. And then you go to a place where you can just think how you want, and you have to really show up more in your boldness to get greater marks. It's like it was the complete opposite way of thinking. And then that's when I just like, wow, this is where I belong.
It got you into your authenticity. Yeah, to find your voice inside.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's more difficult for women to be able to express their needs than men?
Definitely. I feel that through a lot of generations prior, women were taught to really keep quiet, and there was a lot of blocks within the voice in general, and so we do find it hard to especially say no, because a lot of women can be chronic people pleasers, and so we constantly are saying yes, 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 no. So we're not embodying and standing strong in our no, which is where we really do gain respect for ourselves mainly. But yeah, it's really difficult to really declare, well, this is what I want, this is what I need. And definitely the men as well definitely go through this. But I feel like also they have been brought up and possibly in a little bit of a different way of really wanting more, just from previous generations. There was a lot of men that stood their ground and a lot of beautiful leaders that would just speak from that place. And then there's just that difference of like women are now slowly starting to gain their voice, which is beautiful. But I definitely believe that it's shifting. And I think the one thing that it's challenging for women is that we are working with often not feeling safe in this world. And if we don't feel safe, then we can't be safe enough to express. Because when we speak, wow, it's like oftentimes it's really speaking from the heart, really speaking about our emotions. And so if it's not a safe space, then we don't speak at all. And that's why it's such a beautiful thing now that I'm just witnessing, is that more beautiful men are standing up more into their healthy masculine of holding space for that feminine-like nature, for that other person to really feel safe in their presence. And so, there's almost like a rise. There's a beautiful army of consciousness that is rising up where people are slowly meeting each other. And all begins with personally meeting those energies within yourself first. Yeah.
What would be conditions that would create a safe space?
Definitely a safe space is how I feel is that person that has deep presence, just for you, for how you can reveal everything of who you are. Also deep presence, awareness of that moment of safety, and also really being in that connection with that person. I definitely feel like, for me in particular, like speaking from my own experience, if I feel beautifully safe when there's this presence there that is really comforting and peaceful, and my nervous system is really, really calm. And that is beautiful to feel, because then I can be this mess sometimes and I can be something else, and that person just is there, is present, is holding space, has full awareness, but also has a lot of acceptance for you at the same time. A lot of acceptance of you being completely you. Yeah, so those are the conditions that really people I invite to instill in to create that safety for that person, and for either or, for that man or woman, or for anyone that's in a relationship, is to really listen deeply about holding that such sacred space for that person. definitely just coming back to that awareness and also choosing to stay always in partnership. Whenever there's a dispute going on or conflict, instead of leaving the space, how do we come back to dealing within that, or coming back to healing within that space instead of just leaving, from a coping mechanism.
Is it important to foster vulnerability?
Yes, definitely. So, vulnerability, I find, is such a powerful thing, because vulnerability is a boundary as well, meaning that when people are vulnerable, it repels the people that are not meant to be there. So as soon as people just speak from the heart and speak their truth, you will notice that people will be running away like crazy, because they either get triggered by what you say, or they just can't take they don't have the spaciousness and the capacity to hold your vulnerability, which is perfectly okay. But it's amazing that the more authentic and the more vulnerable you can be, the right people will be there to listen to you and hold space and hold that deep presence. And it's very challenging to be vulnerable, very, very, very challenging. And that's why every single day I'm choosing, how can I be more vulnerable? How can I speak more from the place of my heart? How can I speak about my feelings more and be in touch with my emotions, expressing them at the same time? And let me notice who stays, let me notice who goes. But let me also not judge them for it. Hold complete compassion for them if they choose to leave my space, because then it creates space for someone else beautiful to come in, to be that person. And also definitely a form of like knowing that you're moving through a breakthrough in life is definitely knowing that you are fostering this vulnerability, is that you are really choosing to be vulnerable to yourself first, checking in, how do you feel? How does your heart feel? And then being able to provide that space for other people. Yeah.
How do you identify real connections with people?
So real connections to me is, just mainly anyone that I feel that I can be completely and utterly myself, knowing that I don't need to filter out the words that I say. I don't need to pretend to be someone I'm not. It's really, really being so comfortable in who I am, and even possibly loving myself more with that person around. Knowing that they are witnessing me, they are seeing me, and accepting me and completely loving me at the same time as well, which is such a beautiful thing. But I definitely believe that before having this beautiful, authentic connection with someone else and noticing it and seeing it, it's really coming back to seeing it within yourself first and creating that connection. And that's why, I really do value people, or value anyone that takes some time to be completely alone and to actually have that deep connection with your own body, mind, and spirit. So for example, I often do check-ins, especially when I'm in the car. I'll ask myself, I'm like, okay, Derryn, how do you feel today? How does your heart feel? And I would actually talk to myself, providing that sense of safety for my own emotions, knowing that I'm also holding space for myself. And I'm gaining this beautiful connection of how do I build the greatest relationship with myself, because that's the most sustainable, long-lasting relationship we will ever have, is the one we have with ourselves. So if I can keep refining that and keep noticing, oh, okay, Derryn, your heart is sore today, what does it need? Oh, I would love a beautiful long bath with a piece of chocolate or something. Then I provide that need. So I'm being this beautiful relationship dynamic of being so healthy, of always checking in, noticing what's happening in my body. If I feel angry, okay, what do you need for that anger? I need to release it. I need to cry. Okay, let's cry. So once we get to witness and develop that strong foundation, the connection that we can have with so many other people is going to be that much profound. And healing too, because I feel like that there's a part of this journey of awakening and also this journey of enlightenment, per se, is definitely that time on your own to come back to this foundation of self-worth. But you can only go so far by yourself. But then to go to the next level, to really bring in and call in that person that you really want, your dream lover, your dream person and connection, it can take you to that. Because that person will show you aspects that still need healing within your bodies. In your body, they will be that mirror that you possibly still need to look at, which is also exhilarating and challenging to see it face on as well. But at the same time, you've got that beautiful sense of support with that person.
And support is definitely something that you think is essential, whether it's from a partner or from your circle of friends, your tribe.
Definitely.
It's something we need.
Definitely. I feel that, that is, we definitely need to seek support more. We need to really have a strong foundation of either sisterhood or brotherhood or a beautiful partner that supports you. And for me, for example, like I don't need a partner that agrees with what I do and what I say or the things that I do, but I need a partner that really accepts me for exactly who I am and is willing to really support me in the ways that I need supported, which I find beautiful because then that person allows me to be my own sovereign being, and there's no control, there's nothing like that. But I feel like that is what a lot of people are lacking at the moment, is that sense of tribe and being understood by the other person. And it really does begin by us opening up our voices to express that vulnerability first, and then noticing who stays, who goes, who's my tribe. Let me call in my tribe. I noticed that recently when I felt that I was in this inner emotional turmoil of being activated, my pain body was really triggered. Knowing that my emotions were on a high, and oftentimes we can get so clouded by these thoughts that we just go in a spiral of different stories. And these stories don't serve us often. And then we get eventually stuck in this mud, stuck in this story that doesn't serve us and questions our self-value. And in these moments, it's like when we just take that one action step of just shifting to seek support, shifting to a person you really trust, and also someone's opinion that you really trust as well and you really respect. Turning that person to say, listen, I need help right now. Please may you tell me from your perspective what is going on in my world. And that person, my sisterhood came through, provided me with this external reality of what was actually going on whilst I was really feeling my emotions. And it was so beautiful that they really guided me and helped me in seeing things from a different perspective. And it released so much of that, almost that guilt and shame, or that triggers that one situation happened, how it happened. And it was beautiful because I really received the support from, just amazing people that are choosing to do this work as well, to really look at themselves and to see beyond maybe what our minds often believe. And it was amazing that once the shift happened and I was able to control and respond to the situation instead of react, that is when I knew that something shifted within my body and turned to a sense of empowerment. Because, like this quote says that there's 90% of everything that happens to you, the most important, 10% of what is how life happens, and then 90% is controlled by your reaction or your response, something along those lines. And it was interesting that when I felt like I was in this inner turmoil, I connected to my heart space. My heart just needed to feel, to be with my emotions. My heart needed to seek help. And as soon as I did that, it was just a feeling and responding from a place of my heart instead of my mind, instead of my ego mind, of being like, just saying horrible words. I responded to a place of here, connecting with that person. And it was amazing to change that pattern instantly, like radical discontinuity of what the old Derryn would normally do, and how do I seek help and change it to a different pattern now. So that was really amazing, how we always have the opportunities with our response to life to constantly change those patterns that have been so ingrained in us.
And that must have been hugely empowering to make that shift.
Yeah. Hugely empowering, especially asking for help.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that oftentimes we grow up and, maybe we are taught to be this independent person, you don't need this, you don't need that. And then now I'm like, no, we actually need this community. We need guidance and support. And, years ago in these tribes, when we were living in these tribal times, you have a whole village supporting your mission, your life. You have your grandmothers and your sisters and your brothers that are providing you with different tools and supporting you in different ways. And nowadays, I feel like there's so much expectation for a partner to be that one person with an entire village within them. And that person doesn't have the capacity to provide everything for that one person, plus also hold space for their own selves as well. So that's why we really do need that sisterhood, that brotherhood, where we can lean on them, and knowing that we don't need to always lean on our partner and drain them with things that we're going through. We have different source outlets that we can talk to, let it out, process, and not project our things onto our lover, for example, or our friends, which is oftentimes we do that. And that's okay because it's been ingrained in us too. But then how do we instead just shift that perspective with that seek of help? Have that sense of support.
I suppose also you would need to curate who you would approach for support, because they would, depending on the circumstances, of course, they would have to have the awareness and the intelligence to be able to offer the support when it's needed.
Yeah, definitely.
And because I think with some people, it can happen where you approach someone for support, but if they lack the foundation to assist, you excite their nervous system, and then it aggravates the situation, because their inadequacy is then projected back at you.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like that's a huge thing, and also asking for even maybe consent before offloading onto someone as well. Like, I know that oftentimes we can instantly, we feel a safety with a friend and we offload all of this, but maybe they don't have the capacity to hold it right now in this moment. So that person that may be moving through something, like for example me, I messaged my sisters and I said, do you have like 2 minutes? Can I ask you a quick question? And then that's when I was able to have that open space where they were available for me. But I definitely believe that, sometimes if we're not also, and really asking for that person, like for example, this is what I do sometimes. I would ask either, someone I know, if I'm moving through something, I would say, am I able to share something with you? Like, do you have the capacity to hold space for me? And also asking for a need. I don't want any advice. I don't want anything. I just really would love you to listen and you to see things from my perspective so that I can gain a clearer perspective. And that has been really beautiful, because sometimes you just don't want someone's advice. You just want someone place to vent to and that listen to. And then also, like for example as well, something I do is if my friend or my family member or sister would be speaking, sometimes, and it's also a practice, definitely a practice with this, but I would say, can I reflect on something, or do you want me to express something about this? And then I would come in with something that I see from the outside. So like constantly there's this permission of, are you open to receive this? Or just so then we're always prepared and also have that choice to say, no, right now I actually don't have the capacity for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the power of being able to manifest in your life? Because you talk about manifestation.
Yes. So I found that there's a huge, beautiful correlation between manifestation and sacred sexuality. For me, manifestation is about accessing abundance, and abundance meaning that how can we really create heaven on earth by exactly what we want here? What do I want to experience? What do I wish to have? And you know, a lot of these things, people instantly turn to abundance as materialistic things. And it does have to some degree, but the core essence of abundance is really within. It's a feeling of how do I feel abundant in my own body? How do I feel abundant in knowing my self-worth? How do I feel abundant knowing that I am abundantly healthy and I am this and I am that? And so it's that feeling first, which then is a ripple effect in the world. And so definitely with regards to manifestation, it is almost really desiring what you want, but definitely creating the action steps in order for you to receive that. And then also on top of that, it's being energetically aligned to your goal, to your dream. Because everything backs everything up. So for example, if my mindset wants to achieve a dream. But then what is the energy of my body? Is my body, feeling good? Is my body feeling abundant? Is my body feeling in the same state as my mind, that thought? And then what is the action step? So everything needs to be aligned of everything of who I am in order to be that energetic alignment to that opportunity. Because if I really want something, but my mind is saying that I'm not worthy of that, then you're not going to receive it. So it's all coming back to that self-worth. What am I worthy of? Am I worthy of having everything I've ever wanted? Am I worthy of this? And noticing where there's a little bit of a resistance there. That's the key. That's like the code of, oh, this is feeling uncomfortable. Like, this is what I'm desiring when you write it down. But deep down, I don't think I'll get this. Then that's where the mindset shifts need to begin. And then tying that into manifestation and sacred sexuality is that how, sacred sexuality is all about honoring your own body and mindset, honoring yourself as an individual, becoming a sovereign human being. And manifestation is mainly about the thoughts and the patterns to get everything that you desire. And so that's why both of them interlink with each other. And that's why, using the energy of sacred sexuality, like our central sexual energy, which is the essence of who we are, that's the source energy, the creative life force that moves through our body, we can choose where we put our attention and focus on. So for example, the last 10 months, instead of practicing, instead of utilizing my energy with a partner or various different things, I really wanted to manifest my dreams using that central energy within me, that life force creative energy, to really put it onto my business, to really create it from that very potent, beautiful, delicate place through life force. And so it was very intentional, knowing that I really want to use this energy that's always moving through us, always. And also the important thing is to awaken that energy within us, because oftentimes it lies dormant. Either our creative fueling or our ability to feel turned on for life and be grateful for life is sometimes not there. So as soon as like in the mornings, for example, in order to manifest a beautiful day, I'd wake up, acknowledge myself in the mirror, you've got this, like my mindset on point with regards to that, like every day. Also looking at my eyes, showing gratitude, you're alive, thank you, I love you, Derryn, you're worthy. Coming back to feeling turned on in my body of like, wow, okay, my body is this vehicle for life. Like I am moving, I'm leading myself through my body, through my intuition every single day. I'm walking with my heart open to give and to receive. And then I'd manifest. I would say, right, today is going to be a productive, beautiful day. And I'm manifesting to receive beautiful messages or opportunities. But then having everything back up so that I can then attract those opportunities. So it's very, very exciting this to really manifest everything that we want. And also just to come back to merging it with sacred sexuality is that, as I said before, sacred sexuality isn't about sex per se, but it's about the creative expression of your entire being, like that sacred expression. And if every single day you choose to fully express who you are from the place of your heart and also have your mind back you up, being your greatest cheerleader, your greatest supporter, then nothing can stop you from really achieving everything that you've wanted. And you will definitely attract that because it's the energy that you put out into the world is going to come back at you.
So what options do people have to access you for coaching and assistance and so on? What do you offer?
So I have a few beautiful different offerings. The first one is yoga. So yoga I'm teaching at various different places, wellness hubs, yoga studios. And I really love that because people get to tap into just the energy of being in a collective place, coming back into union with themselves whilst I hold the space. And so that's one way, definitely form of yoga. The other option is this, I have an offering online, mentorship for either an hour or 90 minutes. It's called The Shift. And that's where we dive into your self-limiting beliefs. What is your reality like now? How can we look at what's happening in your world? And how do we shift that to come into a place where you want to go or to a dream you want to achieve? So I've got that beautiful modality, as well as next year I will be launching a group session with people so that we can really dive into more collective healing as well. And then recently, at the moment, I'm going to be doing more workshops. I really have noticed that my love for connection and community, like healing, is definitely one of the most profound and also a very quick way to process things, to integrate anything that we've gone through in our life and how do we alchemize that pain, turn it into pleasure, turn it into love, but with the whole support of the collective and not only doing it by yourself. So I will be hosting more of those sessions. It's called the Embodied Guided Embodied Journey. And that's beautiful. We're going to be moving through the different elements. The elements have such profound teachings and wisdom to share with us, how they speak to us. Also, just how do we have practical tools to really become the alchemists of our own life. That's the main message I want to portray, is that we are our own healers. How do we do it within ourselves, plus as well as within a community? That's something exciting.
All right, cool. The podcast is called The Peak Performance Life. So it's about implementing all the various skills and tools required to optimize your life on every level. So how would you define a peak performance life?
I love that question, because a peak performance life, I find that you are really expressing yourself in the most authentic way to you, really coming back to the peak of who you are, really, of seeing how powerful you are, how coming back to your purity, your innocence, knowing that you can tackle the world of exactly how you want to. You can express your desires. You can say no. I almost see this person on top of the mountain, knowing that you can move through any challenge that's in your life, and everything that you are moving through is to get to where you really need to be. And it's only character building, all of these beautiful things that we go through as well as challenges. But that peak performance of really standing up on the mountain saying, I've got this, I've been through this, and I'm here to really spread my message across to other people and provide that healing space for people, like using their life as a testimony for others, I find beautiful. And also performance of like that beautiful coming back to nakedness, coming back to completely stripping away everything of who you are, not stripping away those layers of guilt, shame, all of those things, and coming back to how do I perform in a way that it's the most truest version of me, knowing that this is my self-worth and that I can reveal myself and exactly who I am with the messiness, with this, with everything, the pain, suffering, everything. So yeah, that's why I really connected with this podcast. It's like really, the vision I keep seeing is the person that's standing naked on top of the mountain, roaring out their self-expression, freedom, alignment with source, alignment with who they are, speaking from that heart-based place and wanting to help others as well. Like really, yeah.
Okay. And what do you think would be daily habits that people could cultivate to lead towards this?
So the daily habits, I would say, is definitely self-awareness, definitely coming back to being aware of your breath, aware of your own life force, that your heart is beating, you're alive, you're here for a purpose, to enjoy life, coming back to the awareness of your body, awareness of your intuition, knowing when your body says no, knowing when your body says yes to things. And you know, the normal practice I do with my body with that is, how do I lead life with a full body yes from me first? How do I walk out of the door? How do I walk out of the bed, for example? And I normally bring awareness to my 4 different energy centers of my body. And so I normally tap, like if I have to go through a decision, or let's just say I'm going on a date with a beautiful person, I'm like, okay, mind, logic, what is this saying? Yes, it feels good. Is the ego involved? Because your ego is your loud voice, constantly going off and off and off. The spirit, the beautiful quiet voice, is the voice that's going to keep you going. So I listen to that small voice. Then I connect to my heart space, and I'm like, okay, heart, is this in alignment to what I want to do now? And then I connect to my intuition, my willpower, my confidence. Okay, I feel at peace. I don't feel like butterflies, because that's normally like a shake in your nervous system. And then I come back to my sex center and I say, am I feeling turned on by this decision? Am I feeling turned on by this life in general, what it could provide me with? So once I bring awareness into my body, the 4 different portals of life, if all of them are a yes, then that's a full body yes that I give out. And then that's beautiful, because then everything shifts externally. Things will come at me saying a yes, yes, yes. And so knowing that when it does say a no, if it's a no, if it's a maybe, it's a no. It's either a full body yes or a no. So daily tools, definitely, yeah, that self-awareness. Also embracing your creativity, embracing your gifts. Like even if you don't know what they are, like choosing to explore different things to find out what they are. I find that probably 90% of this world, and maybe generalizing, but tend to be lost. And how do we, instead of seeing lost as this intense thing and we are stressing about that, how do we see lost as like an adventure? Oh my gosh, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's an adventure. Let's every day take it as it comes. So expressing your creativity and knowing what is the best tools for you to move through a transformation within your own body, bringing awareness. And everyone will be different. Everyone will be different like that. And the last one is definitely seek support of using your voice, asking for what you need, family members, sisters, friends, community, really asking for that foundation of releasing that ego mind of this self-independent person and saying, I can't do this world alone. Like, I need support. Because your support will get you to there. You can only do so much alone. So definitely those three things of coming back to being body-led in every single way. It's listening to how your body wants to move. Listen to when your body says no to a place or to a situation. And it's amazing because the body is the majority of our body. The mind is just this. And so oftentimes we listen too much of the ego, the loud voice. But when we just come back to listen to that quiet voice and then lead from the body, it's like powerful.
What do you think holds people back? Like the common challenges that you see that keeps people from progressing and reaching their peak?
Yeah, I feel like the first definitely is distractions of like almost distractions of your own mindset. Oftentimes it's the own lies that we tell ourselves of not being good enough, of self-critical talk, really not being kind to ourselves within our own mind. That's definitely what takes people into not a great story of who they are, and then their energy just decreases. Also, within regards to that, it's other distraction is listening to people's opinions, listening to too many people outside of yourself. I mean, we have got so much ancient knowledge within our own body, within our own mind, that we have all of the answers to everything. And yes, we need support and help from other people as well, but oftentimes we're turning to people and we're listening to their opinions about ourselves, but they don't even know us, because if we don't even know us, then there's all these lies that are being told constantly around us. So it's definitely not listening to your own authentic heart and too many of other people. And then also I feel like the one thing that's stopping people is not allowing themselves to feel the emotions, not allowing themselves to heal their own, energy within their own bodies. And I feel like there's so much pain that we're all moving through and suffering that needs to be acknowledged. That pain body needs to be seen, heard, acknowledged, felt, understood, give it space so that we can really release all of that. And oftentimes we just bypass that. We're like, nope, we're pretending, we're okay, everything is fine. But we're resisting all of that, which causes even more suffering. The suffering is caused by the resistance of the emotions that we are moving through in that moment. But as soon as we feel something and we're there and we're present with it, and we're like, wow, this is moving through my body, and let me feel this aliveness right now, this human experience of this particular emotion, how heavy or intense it may feel, let me just feel that. It just slowly dissolves and slowly just dissipates into a form of pleasure or form of something else, creativity. So I really feel like anyone that really wants to live a life of transformation, it's to not forget about that pain body. Like move, noticing the pain, feeling the pain, and then moving from that space where we can alchemize that and create space in the body of where all those energies are. Then we can come into a place of feeling immense pleasure for life. Because the degree of which we feel our pain is the degree of which we'll feel our pleasure. They're both tied in. So that's why when we feel that more, we just create space of what the opportunity is to feel the greatness of life. And that's what all of this is about, is like every single day, how do we really allow ourselves to be turned on for life, like a switch on, gratitude. Second thing, how do we turn ourselves in, gain awareness, intuition, authentic heart, And then how do we allow ourselves to turn beyond, to expand our awareness, to see that anything is possible, infinite possibilities. And it's like, yeah, that's why I love when people are feeling stuck to go out into nature, especially the ocean. You stand in the ocean and you see this vast amount of ocean and view, and you're like, oh, infinite, dreams, opportunities, so much greater than anything that I've gone through. It's like, that's just like where, I want to look to. So yeah, that's, I love talking about this.
You're a force, Derryn. A very powerful force.
Oh, thank you.
We finish every podcast with a quote, and I had a sense of where this conversation was going to go, and I thought that the undercurrent was going to be authenticity. So I found this quote, you may know it, by Brené Brown.
Yes, I love her.
So I'll read this. Authenticity is not something we have or don't have. It's a practice, a conscious choice of how we want to live. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real. Authenticity is the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen.
I love that.
I thought you would.
Yeah, I love Brené Brown. She's a powerful force as well.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I think it was a great conversation.
Yes. No, I love this. I love, speaking about this. Thank you for holding space.
You're welcome.
Thank you.